Hey, thanks for calling into the show. You're on with Kyle Henderson and Clint Lamb. Thanks for being patient. Who are we on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey Cal, what's up, man? This Coach Green out of Columbus, Ohio. How you doing, man?
Hey, we appreciate you calling from the Midwest, man. Hope you're staying warm as we move kind of through into February. Your thoughts on Tommy Rees being named the OC at Bama? Go ahead.
Well, it's a little chilly here, but I've been waiting on the announcement of the OC. I'm not a fan of the hire, man. I hear everybody's trying to justify. I know it's Saban's offense, but I'm not a fan of the hire. Guy got probably 8 years of experience. I think Alabama's going to do more for him than what he's going to do for Alabama. I mean, I've never heard of Tommy Rees, being able to scheme up to get people open. Nobody fears Notre Dame offense. I mean, how many first-round quarterbacks have he developed? What is this guy known for? I know it's Saban's offense. I mean, I know we got great players. It kind of reminds me of the first hire that Saban had. What was the guy out of Major Applewhite out of Texas when he first came in? Like the guy, he called plays at Texas, his alma mater, for several years, and he came over. And Alabama O coordinator is a big, big job. So I think we're going to do more for him than he's going to be able to do for us. But I'm not a fan of the hire, man. I just, there's nothing about him. The last coordinators we had, Bill O'Brien, former head coach, NFL, Sark, first-round quarterbacks at USC, Lane, first-round quarterbacks at USC. Like, these recruits come to the school because their old coordinator has done some things in the past. Like, what has this guy done?
Clint, I guess I haven't. I guess I haven't asked Clint. I mean, we just got you on the show. By the way, great call. I appreciate the feedback. Whether you like it, whether you don't like it, it's all good dialogue. I want to dive into it. I really haven't even wrapped my head around it, to be honest. I mean, the guy's a young guy. I think you bring up some great points. I think he has a lot to. He has to prove himself. But I haven't even asked you, Clint. Do you like the hire? What's your initial take on Tommy Rees being hired as the OC?
I do like the hire, because I kind of see where Alabama's wanting to go with it. First of all, a lot of your dynamic offensive minds, the Josh Heupels of the world, the Jeff Lebby's, the Lane Kiffin, the Steve Sarkisian, a lot of those guys are being hired into head coaching roles, and they've already got premier jobs and things like that. So you really are trying to figure out, okay, who is somebody that you can target that you can go that route, and there are plenty of options if they would have wanted to have gone that route. But I think that it all comes down to don't kind of remove the name, like Tommy Rees, like just forget about the name. What is Nick Saban trying to do with the hire of offensive coordinator? I think he wants to be able to run the football more consistently. We've talked about that. I think he wants to be able to get back to having an elite defense that you can play off of. I think he wants to get back to being able to go play action off of things. I think he wants to get back to being able to go under center in short yardage situations where you don't have to worry about, already putting yourself at a disadvantage by being in shotgun. These are things that, okay, it's like, okay, if that is kind of where the Alabama wants to go, if that's where Georgia has found a lot of its success, and we can talk about the success of Josh Heupel and Lane Kiffin and all these great offensive-minded guys. Kyle, who's won the last 2 national championships? Who's gone back-to-back and been fairly dominant? Granted, you could talk about scheduling or whatever. They just beat a team 60-something to like 14 or whatever the final score was in the national championship game. We've never seen anything like that. And did he do it? Did Georgia do it with, a Josh Heupel style of, high-powered offense? No, they hammered the football at TCU. They played Stetson Bennett off of that. Let's not act like that you can't have a modern style of offense with a lot of those kind of core principles, right? I mean, you saw it with Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett is a former walk-on quarterback who went to New York as a Heisman finalist after throwing for over 4,000 yards while you're still playing elite defense and you're still running the football with consistency with a very nice, big physical offensive line and a stable of running backs. And so I personally think if that's what you're trying to get back to, Tommy Rees isn't proven in that area necessarily. I also, going back and watching, I was impressed with what he did with Ian Book. Ian Book was a former 3-star quarterback, didn't have a whole lot of attention coming out of high school. He was undersized. He didn't have great arm strength, and he turned him into a, semi-Heisman, trophy contender. And he had Notre Dame and, helping them get to the college football playoff. And granted, you run up against Alabama, and I think that with the way that they recruit, especially at receiver, they're not going to target necessarily those undersized guys that are going to be able to create separation to their route running. That's not how they win. They've had a lot of success with the bigger, more physical receivers. But when you go against an Alabama style of defense who can match that physicality and size on defense, you're kind of, in a lot of situations, you're kind of left at a disadvantage. And I think Notre Dame's run into that. At Alabama, I think he's going to have access to a lot more talent, premier talent. And on top of that, you're also going to see a whole new, style of receiver that he didn't have at Notre Dame either.
No, I'm saying he made some good points. And it all goes back to the style of play that we want to implement, which he could bring in. He can hire the receiver coach to do that. I just don't think Rees has been proven. Like you're talking about Georgia offensive coordinator, been in the NFL probably 10 years. He's been a head coach. He's got 30 years of offensive coordinator experience. I'm talking about the lack of experience this guy brings to the table. Obviously, he's going to grow into the position, but I want someone to bring in some ideas that's going to be able to take Alabama to the next level. So I don't know. I mean, I'll reserve. I know Saban, he knows what he wants. If he wanted to do that, he can just hire one of his wide receiver coaches to implement that. I don't see him bringing anything to the table. He hasn't developed any first-round quarterback. I know Notre Dame is, at a disadvantage as far as recruiting, but I'm just used to the other hires. Like I said, look at the last 5 offensive coordinators that Bama's had. Sark and Lane has had guys at first-rounders at USC. They've been head coaches. Rees haven't been anywhere outside of Notre Dame. He hadn't been to the NFL. He hadn't coached. He hadn't been a head coach. He hasn't coached at another program. So that's just my point. I mean, I'm a reserve judgment, but I'm not a fan of that.
This is Rambo calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Rambo, man, what's up, man? Thanks for calling in. I love the ATL, man. Take it away. What's your thoughts on Tommy Rees being named the OC?
I would most likely say, I like him because he runs the ball, and that's what a lot of people been screaming about, and he don't really, make the game harder than what it is. So I like that, too. And then everyone wants to get an offensive coordinator that is well-known or a recycled coordinator. I'm tired of seeing a coordinator that's known for doing something good, but he get fired from this place, and then he's at this college program, and then he's getting tossed around. You keep seeing the same coordinators taking different jobs at different programs. I want to try something different. Let's stop trying to run to get these same old burnt-out coordinators. Let's try something new. Then he runs the offense how we used to do it. So, I mean, and then if you look at, some of the games that Notre Dame was doing against Power 5 teams like Ohio State, he ran the ball, and that was Ohio State's weakness. I really seen Notre Dame a little miniature SEC team. They had power, they ran the ball more than they threw it, and they had physical receivers on the outside. They didn't do the up-tempo, and that's what Bama do not do. Yeah, Tennessee do it, but they don't. And then not only that, if you have chemistry more than just a super name, I would take chemistry over that. Wolford, he big, powerful linemen, and Rees, he runs the ball. I feel like those two are a good chemistry duo. You don't need the power name. If all the coordinators like to do the same thing, I feel like that matches it too. So I just want your take on that. How you feel about Wolford and Rees and the way he's putting the staff together and they're matching each other.
Clint?
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. And that brings up an excellent point. It's kind of zigging when everybody else is zagging, right? And I think that's something that's also helped Georgia be fairly effective. And Alabama's been one of them. It's like they've been, you don't see the Courtney Upshaws out there on the edges anymore, right? You don't see the 275-pound edge. You do see a defensive lineman when you're going to get certain styles of offenses, but your outside linebackers are more, 235, 240, 245 pounds. And so, that's great. And when you've got guys who are great exterior pass rushers and things like that, that's fantastic when you're playing against an LSU style of offense or an Ole Miss style of offense or, Tennessee or whoever, the spread offenses that want to, you need athleticism to be able to combat that. And then you've kind of built your defense that way. And then you go up against a Georgia style of offense where it's like they're bigger, they're stronger, they're going to hammer the football at you. And you haven't really recruited or have the guys available to be able to stop that style of offense. And Georgia, in this landscape of college football, they can control games effectively and consistently in that way. And so, I think that's something that's really going to help Alabama as well, is getting back to that style. It's not going triple option where it's like, okay, for this one particular week, we've got to prepare for this very unorthodox offense, but it's like the entire way that you've recruited and built your roster, especially defensively, it's vastly different than, you know, a style of offense that you're going to be going against when you go against Georgia. And I think that Alabama kind of wants to get back to a little bit of that as well.
Rambo, get one more take in, man, before we let you go.
And the last thing I want to say about Mr. Rees is he's a coordinator that no one was really, well, I could say he was like a sleeper coordinator that no one was talking about. I see that Miami wanted him, LSU wanted him, and Oregon wanted him. So he must be doing something good for a lot of schools to want him, but nobody really put his name out there like that. And also, Alabama don't have a well-known superstar at wide receiver. We don't have a superstar at running back. We know of next year. We know McClellan, but he's not a superstar. We don't have a proven quarterback. We don't have a proven skill player nowhere. So why would you go get a Jeff Lebby and let him gunsling a quarterback like we already have Bryce Young there? I feel like if we would have had Bryce Young for another 2 years, I feel like Nick would have still went the route with the Tua and Bryce Young way. But the fact that he do not have a proven quarterback, why is you finna go out there, go get Jeff Lebby, have him sling it 30, 40 times, and you know it's going to be some growing pains, and I feel like it's going to be more interceptions than touchdowns if you do that, because neither one of the quarterbacks are proven. So I'm really kind of glad that Nick Saban do that, because Jeff Lebby was going to turn him into a gunslinger, and it was going to be more growing pains. I would rather have McClellan get 200 yards than the quarterback throw 2 picks in 180 yards. I would rather do that, because in crunch time, we're going to depend on the quarterback than the run game. But if we would do the run ball, we'll be better off. So that was my main take on it. I like to hire, run the ball, do a little throwing here and there, don't have a proven quarterback. So the chemistry good with the staff. So I like what he's doing. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, Rambo, stay blessed, man. Have a good weekend. Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson. Thank you very much for watching this video. Check out our other related content right here on Bama Insider. Be sure and like and subscribe, inching closer to 100,000 subscribers right here on Bama Insider.